It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
Oh, we love movie, TVs, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out. I said movies and TVs. No, I actually do love TVs in general, so that still works.
Yeah, that's very good of you. Good of you. My name is Chris Dillard.
My name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're reviewing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, we're not only reviewing it, we just reviewed it.
We did. That's why Mike's hyped. He's riding off that review episode.
Check your feeds. It's in there right now.
He's getting excited. Obi Wan gets a new trailer for May the 4th be with you, and also with you. So we'll talk about what that trailer means. We discussed how Avatar 2 is going to be, The Way of Water. We both were able to see a preview of this in the theaters. Partially, and we'll talk about why I partially saw one a little bit and more.
Yes, we just got off of talking about Doctor Strange for about an hour here, so we're jumping into the news now because you lucky folks are getting 2 episodes of the podcast this week. But I kept it a little cryptic up here at the top because I told everybody last week, including Chris, that I'll be starting a new kind of movie franchise watch as I'm downstairs in my garage working out, needing something to watch. So, I watched Underworld, right? We all heard that.
Yes.
Works through the Resident Evil franchise, right? So what's the next logical progression? I don't know if this is logical at all, but I have now officially finished one movie in the Twilight franchise, and now I've started the second film. So I am on the Robert Pattinson train, if you will. Very strange watching this man as a vampire, considering I mainly connect with his face from that one Harry Potter movie where he's Cedric Diggory, and then now as Batman. So to go back in time to see him in whiteface, basically painted with the palest paint that they could find on set to turn him into a vampire, It is trippy, man, for sure, because love it or hate it, the Twilight franchise is in pop culture. It is deeply rooted no matter what, so it has been memed and made fun of, and so many sketches exist out in the world for this franchise, and it was just surreal to see they were not exaggerating at all. Kristen Stewart's performance is exactly like how people impersonate her on the internet. But I would say her performance, her acting, I don't know if that was a specific choice for her back in the day, but I've seen her more recently, and I think it's called The Happiest Season, which is like a holiday movie that it's a Hulu original. That's actually really, really good. So no shade thrown towards Kristen Stewart, but like she is making choices in this franchise.
I wouldn't say she's making any choices. I would 100% say, because it's very much static throughout the other movies as well, that it is the producers or the directors saying I want you to be as wooden as possible.
Yeah,
literally carry no emotion at all.
Possibly.
Because you'll see it in other ones. Because I think she's done great stuff. I've seen her. After that, she did American Ultra with Jesse Eisenberg. She's up in an up and coming there's a Cronenberg movie with the guy who played Aragorn, whatever the actor's name, coming up, and I think she's a great actress. I think that franchise is just such a blemish on everybody's record, right? It's just woof.
Yeah, it is very funny, but yeah, it's been wild to watch, mainly because I'm coming off of the Resident Evil franchise, which I would say is totally devoid of plot and story, and watching a movie, whether you hate it or not, it at least follows a coherent progression, so that's kind of nice and fun. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, it's just been kind of a fun pop culture throwback, if you will. So stay tuned. By this time next week I will have at least, I think, watched the second one, which is called New Moon, I think, if I remember right. I think this is where the werewolves get introduced, so looking forward to that, I guess. So
no,
the Twilight franchise, that
there
is the next one up.
Yes. I will kind of flip the script here a little bit. On my end, the Kentucky Derby is this weekend, so literally the state of Kentucky shuts down for a 2-minute horse race the week before. So the interesting thing about this year's Kentucky Derby is the horse that won was not on the roster yesterday. Another horse scratched, and this one took its place, and was able to come in and win the whole thing. So, very, very people who bet on this horse, very, very lucky people. Got a lot of money if they did. But he was not a name anyone had 24 hours before the race even started. So that's
it must
just wild to think about.
I can tell it's exciting because it's the only time I've ever seen a video clip circulated on the internet. Like the horse went viral because like I was counting the horses in my head. And it was like in like 16th place or something. Then all of a sudden it hits 20, the NOS and it wins. I was like, what is happening? Yeah,
they gave that horse a Red Bull or something, and he just took off. So, the Kentucky Derby's here. That's kind of really just been my week. Sadly, I've not had anything else other than getting the lucky ability to go watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in theaters. Mike, do we have anything else, or we just want to jump into it?
No, let's jump into it.
Because we just got off the review, so this is a spoiler-free section. We are not going to talk about this movie spoilers at all. Lord knows there are tons of them. So if you want to see more of this stuff, you need to go listen to our review episode, right? Which is out and ready for people to take care of. So, Mike, this movie is just killing it at the box office, which is crazy because I did not think it would actually do this well. It's got $450 million worldwide opening weekend in that's like about 4 days, right? Mm-hmm. That makes it the 5th highest MCU global opening ever, and the 2nd highest for a solo film, right? Just Doctor Strange, not an Avengers team up movie.
Yeah, which is really crazy because if you can consider like Endgame and Infinity War maybe outliers in a way, just because they're kind of capping off like a huge phase of the franchise, right? You could basically bump it up to like kind of like top 3, just kind of like normal tier kind of achievements. So yeah, it's doing great box office.
Yeah. So that's great. I expect this to. I think the only movie it has competition with is Top Gun coming out later this month, right? So I expect it to have some legs and really drive this home. But that means people are going out to see it, even on this Mother's Day that we are recording this. So happy Mother's Day to any mothers who listen to the show. I know there are a few. People are going out and see it. So let's go ahead and jump in, Mike. Tell us your spoiler-free thoughts on this video, on this movie, if you will.
Keep it short and sweet. The movie is a wild ride. It's a great return to form for the beginning of the summer. It's great to be hyped with all of this action and adventure in front of us in this film. Sam Raimi does an amazing job putting his flavor on the movie, and I feel like a lot of Marvel movies have been devoid of flavor kind of in the directing chair, and I would say just see all of the last 3 Spider-Man movies, all movies which I loved, but nobody ever thinks about the director behind them. I think we will always think about Sam Raimi when it comes to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and I would say that's for the best. Very easy to recommend. Had a great time. I always struggle with how I review movies, whether I'm going to do stars, grades, percentages, pass or fail, thumbs up or thumbs down. I feel like all I can say is I had a good time, and you'll have a good time going to see it. But if you go and take your mom, who maybe is not too attached to this franchise, she might be a little confused. And I'm not saying that because she's your mom. I'm sure your mom's smart, right? But, like, did she watch WandaVision? Did she watch the Doctor Strange movies and all the other movies he's been in? Did she watch Loki? Maybe not. So good luck, moms out there. But, yeah, I had a great time, Chris. What about you?
I 100% agree with Mike. I think we came to a pretty solid consensus across this. This is, I would say, a fantastic comic book movie. Lots of fan servicey moments, lots of fanboying of myself throughout this, lots of great things, awesome visuals, fantastic soundtrack, jump scares. This is a horror film. But there are, I think, 2 things working against it. One is you've got to do your homework. You can't go into this blind, or walk off the street. You have to have the history of WandaVision, Doctor Strange, probably I would even say Infinity War and Endgame, just to be careful. Maybe possibly even Spider-Man. I think probably a little less than that. No Way Home. But also at the same time, this is not, I would say, the best MCU movie. at all, but that doesn't make it the worst or not fun for that matter. I think this is a huge win for everybody, and it's just a great time. And literally, I can't stress enough. Even though if you listen to our review episode, the first half is spoiler free as well. I had one of the worst experiences in the theaters working against me the whole time. So if this movie can overcome those experiences, I'm just so thrilled to have been able to be out there and watch it. And like I said, if you're in the MCU, you love this stuff, you've watched the preliminary stuff. I would even say maybe Loki. I forgot Loki. I'd watched Loki before I'd put Spider-Man No Way Home on the prerequisite list. You should check it out. It's a return. I would say return to forms. That's not that Sam Raimi ever left, but when you give Sam Raimi the reins and say, make a Doctor Strange movie and make it your way, you get this movie exactly as it is.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in the weeks to come, we'll talk a little bit more about like the some of the critical responses to the movie out there. But like, I saw somebody on Twitter saying that just like, oh, Sam Raimi was just doing his greatest hits in this movie. It's not like he was trying. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, you telling me he made a movie how he would make a movie, and instead of saying like he put his own flavor on it, you just want to say he's doing his greatest hits? Like, I don't know about you, but like, if I go see Paul McCartney, I want to see him do the greatest hits, right? Like, I don't necessarily need to see him like play his whole like brand new album or anything like that. So what a weird way to try to criticize a director by saying, oh, he's just doing his greatest hits.
Well, I also think none of these things about Doctor Strange I feel like have been done before either, right? Like, there are moments in this where we said that we are truly surprised because they were never ruined for us, or things we've never seen before. So I feel like you can say he's doing his greatest hits, but like, I don't know if that's even true or not, because this feels so original in the scheme of things in some of these moments. So, whatever. It's weird. I think, I don't know. People are weird. I'm not thrilled with people after my theater going experience. So, but I like I said, we recommend this highly. Watch it as soon as you can. Still avoid the internet, because I got spoiled last week. Mike was able to avoid spoilers because I warned him. I took the blow. I stepped in front of him and I said, Mike, I've been shot by spoilers. You need to cover yourself up.
Yeah, the greatest thing is, I ran the Twitter and I started muting my keywords, but I couldn't specifically ask you what I should be muting keywords, or it would spoil it. So I just had to say vaguely, should I cast a wide net and think outside of the box? And you were just like, yes. And I was like, okay, that's about as helpful as you can be at this point in time. Yeah. So I think I don't think I ended up muting exactly what was spoiled for you, but I think my net was casted wide enough.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is, if I said what was spoiled for me, it would ruin what was actually there for everybody else. So I can't say it, and I'm not gonna. But very, very fun, very, very good time. But that means we are now on the waiting list for the next Marvel movie, which is not Doctor Strange. It's actually Thor: Love and Thunder, coming out July 8th, right? Mm-hmm. And this weekend, for out of really no reason, I believe, there is a Empire magazine put out on the weekend, a new photo showing Chris Hemsworth in his blue and gold Thor outfit, which we've seen from all the promo art, right, and toys, and Jane Foster with Mjolnir in the classic thing, and she's not helmeted. This is, we thought maybe they would keep the Jane Foster, Natalie Portman Thor thing close to their chest. However, they're just putting it out there for everyone to see and get hyped for it, because damn, look at her guns, Mike.
Yeah.
She's been working out for this.
Yeah, it looks great. She's got like kind of these little bracers on her arm, which I think is, maybe drawing a little more focus over there. Weirdly enough, it's not like I really remember Jane Foster much in the other Thor movies. Really, she is going off on all cylinders in the first movie, and then nobody remembers the second one, and then she kind of disappears, right? But I feel like her hair is really working here, and that's not really like an observation of the male gaze. It's just like these Asgardian gods, right, have these long flowing locks almost all the time, so the hairstyle that they have on here is really working with this Asgardian armor and everything. She's holding on to what looks to be a practical version of the cracked Mjolnir there, so that somehow is getting reconstituted. We talk about this every once in a while on the podcast of like where exactly did the hammer go, how's it's coming back, but it's seeming to be more like the idea that like Jane Foster is going to be at New Asgard visiting, doing some research, if she even needs to research anymore. Doesn't she know all the secrets already? She's been there. Maybe she picks up the pieces when Hammer comes back together. Maybe she dons on the uniform. It doesn't seem like it's going to be multiversal or a variant.
No, I don't think so. And I think honestly, after reading the comic books, Jane Foster in that is she's actually cancer stricken. She's dying, and she's given Mjolnir, and it helps her fight that off while she's in that form. But it speeds it up every time she turns into it. So I don't know if they're going to lean into that in this movie or not, or if it's just going to be maybe she's worthy of something, or is needed to defeat obviously Christian Bale's God Butcher. But it's I think the biggest thing here for me is it's very interesting they're going back to long-haired Thor right after Taika Waititi cut all the hair off in the last movie, right? It's I feel like it's a little bit of a reversal for the same guy, but I love his outfit. I love the blue and gold. It feels very unique. Gives a very visually striking look here for him. So.
I think Natalie Portman should just keep going. Maybe she's found a new thing in life where she's just gonna put down the protein, chug down the protein drinks, hit the CrossFit gym, and just keep getting even swoller.
She's got the Chris Hemsworth center app I do for the workouts.
Yeah, keep going, keep rocking it. I can't wait to see some bulging veins in those arms. Let's see you smash some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to see this. So yeah, that's coming out July 8th. So I was doing the math earlier. We should actually have this in Doctor Strange on Disney Plus by the time we get to watch this, so you can catch up on that beforehand. And we've also not seen any official imagery of Gorr, the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, right? So
we've seen some
I think
toys.
He's going to be the surprise. Yeah, I think he's going to be the surprise in the next trailer, that moving reveal. So excited for that. On the other side, in next May, within 1 year, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be coming out. So that's pretty exciting, right? It's been a while since we have the Guardians movies. People tend to love those. So James Gunn has announced that Volume 3 is wrap production, and he has shown some photos, including this one, the only one he said he had of Zoe Saldana with a previously unannounced actress who is his fiance, James Gunn's fiance, Jennifer Holland, who's in for playing Harcourt in the Peacemaker TV show. So I don't think I'm surprised that he tries to cast her in everything he's in. So that's, I think she was fine in Peacemaker, right? I don't have any problems with her.
Yeah, no complaints overall.
But it's weird to know that we still have a year to see this movie. They're wrapping early. Visual effects have taken longer, I think, for studios overall. Anything that you want to see out of this, Mike, before we get there? Just to throw that out there.
Oh man, anything to see out of the next Guardians of the Galaxy? Just more Rocket. Rocket's my favorite Guardian by far. So if they want to give me more of him, I'll be happy.
Yeah, and we will see them in Rocket and the Guardians a little bit in Thor: Love and Thunder as well. So excited to check that out. Earlier today, Miss Marvel dropped a new 30-second teaser for us out the gate. I guess everyone's searching Marvel. Possibly they're trying to prevent spoilers from dropping for Doctor Strange, so they're just putting more Marvel content out there. So this pops to the top. We got a 30-second teaser. I think the only thing out of this I learned a little bit is she seems to be crime fighting with another person her age who's wearing a red bandana, right, on this teaser, and her parents are heavily involved, but that's really
also
about all I got here.
Also, I would say the tonal shift of the trailer in general. The first one was kind of more high school kind of coming of age, adventure kind of struggle of a teen, and this seems to be cut a little bit more something Marvel actiony. So it can play both tones just depending on how it's edited. Yeah,
exactly. So this makes me also think, it could be the tone, but I don't think those cartoony drawn things are actually going to be part of the movie. This could have been or the series. Were just part of that initial trailer, right? The comic book stuff she was drawing, it was showing up on the screen there. You know, I'm talking the Scott Pilgrim stuff. I don't think this is going to be part of the show based on literally it's in none of the footage here. But is that because it's the footage? And tone is oh, hey, we want to be, more upbeat and optimistic, but I don't know. We'll find out more. That comes June 8th. We are actually a month away from it. I think that's probably why we got the trailer today. So in a couple Fridays, we will be able to check out Miss Marvel along the way. Do you remember that book of Boba Fett show?
Yeah. You mean the Mandalorian 2.5?
Yeah, pretty much. I actually kind of it had been erased from my memory for a little bit, but I'm gonna give you this link here, Mike, in just a little bit. But would you have guessed that Mark Hamill was actually the one filming his scenes as Luke Skywalker in that show, or like we thought it was just the voice, right? Like whenever we kind of looked into it.
I mean, I'm really curious. I mean, no shade whatsoever towards Mark Hamill, because he's a great guy. He really loves interacting with his fans, and he just seems like truly amazing, right? But from the more and more I hear about the behind the scenes of how they are kind of doing, the deep fake Luke, right? Like, I feel like he's just there more for just good vibes. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing, right? You're bringing Luke back to life. Let's bring the actor back and let's have him hang out on set. I'm sure Mark Hamill doesn't mind the payday either. But like, I just feel like I doubt they're like using his body in the scene, right? I feel like it's almost like when you're doing like a fully CG dog, bring in a real dog just so the animators can kind of see what it looks like as reference.
Well, I am dropping you 4 photos and a link showing that he was the body on all these shots, and so they only added his voice later.
I'm not saying they didn't film it, right? But I'm saying they also did the exact same shot with the younger actor as well. Mm-hmm. And I bet the Mark Hamill footage is just used for reference, not actually going into it. Because, like, I mean, just physically, right? His body is just larger than the other actor. So, like, you have to paint out, like, the shoulder blades and stuff to fit the smaller guy in there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they totally would after the, I guess, internet whiplash they got off the first one, right?
Either way, what I'm trying to say is, like, either way, it sounds like it's a fun time on set. No matter how they're putting it together, like, if you get to bring the OG Luke back to set to hang out, like, hell yeah, do it. Like, no shade at all.
Well, exactly. And I think that's, it makes me feel better knowing that they're doing the production with the actual original actor, despite being 40 years later. It's not going to look the same. They're going to have to do some digital extra work to make this work. Mm-hmm. But they literally, used all of his facial, motions and stuff like to make it look better, because we talked about when we watched that episode with Luke how much better it looked, right? Yeah. They had so much faith in it that they used it for like most of the episode. Luke was in it physically, rather than, hey, let's do that one scene. And remember, they hired the guy who did the original deepfake for that online to work for Lucasfilm. So, it shows that, they are listening to the internet. They're trying to make good and become, make Star Wars not a lasting joke, if you will. Because, Star Wars has kind of become a joke since, I guess the new trilogy has kind of been out.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, thankfully, due to the Mandalorian series, the volume of Star Wars, for me, is starting to shift the majority of being good. But I would say before the Mandalorian series started, there were some more bad Star Wars than there was good Star Wars, unfortunately. So we're starting to set the scales a little bit more in the right direction.
Yeah, it feels a little more even, but, it's not perfect, but it is. I feel good, like you said, good faith attempts being made, rather than, hey, let's just make $1 billion because we want to sometimes. So we'll do that. On the flip side, on May the 4th, we got our newest trailer for Obi Wan Kenobi, and I feel like this one feels a little more, revealing than the last one, right? We get to know kind of like, hey, the Inquisitors are out here looking for Jedi, specifically trying to find Obi Wan Kenobi and where he is. And some of the things, I'd say the live action Grand Inquisitor looks better than the still shots we got before. I even saw articles kind of doing an about face about how they were like, he doesn't look anything like the Rebels show, but the Rebels show has everyone literally their face stretched 2 times in one direction, rather than just him. I would say you watched this trailer, right?
Yeah.
So I would say there's like 2 big reveals here. One is we see a robotic arm screwing into the stump of a body, if you will. And can we guess who that is? Just off the top of our head, like what's going on there?
I mean, if it's a robotic arm, do we just? I was going to say you can't assume Luke, right, with the most iconic robotic arm because he's a baby or he's like a toddler in this show, right?
Right, but yeah, I mean, literally, I think it's the Vader reveal in this, right? Like they're giving us his like the robots who have to put Vader together every day because he's a burned corpse and he's missing most of his limbs. You get to see that, and I believe we might also see the scene where we see the realization that Kenobi realized that Darth Vader is Anakin, because we've never got that realization from him before. He just knew who it was at the end of it.
A funny thing I saw online was, there's that line in the original Star Wars film where, Vader says something along the lines of, what was it, like Obi Wan? Well, that's like, what does he say? He's like, that's somebody I haven't thought of in a while, or felt presence. What exactly
I haven't felt the presence of in a long time.
So for the longest time, we just assumed that's when they fought each other on a volcano, right?
Yeah.
No, it sounds like now they're pivoting. It's like, no, that's when I fought him in a desert, possibly. I still have the same opinion. I'm glad this trailer shows off a lot more of things off of Tatooine, right? But like, so sick and tired of desert planets, especially after Boba Fett. Like, get me off of this sand sphere. I hate it.
Well, and I think that's the thing here is like, I think the episode 1 will be, where's Obi-Wan at? Oh, the Inquisitors are getting too close to Luke, so I'm going to need to go off planet so they don't know where I am or think he's there. So we'll spend a lot of the series off world. There are two things. We get to see the bounty hunter Zuckuss, Forlom, at one point, who is one of the bounty hunters from the actual
that original bounty hunter lineup that we see in the original
from Empire. Yeah. And then he was also part of the that leaked episode of the Star Wars Detours, where it has Forlom and Zuckuss trying to hijack a diner kind of thing. So I think Obi-Wan will be hunted by bounty hunters. He'll be hunted by Inquisitors. But I also want to point out, one of my favorite things about watching these trailers is the Disney Plus swoop in plus sign at the end of the whole trailer, right? And in this one, they've implemented a lightsaber coming through, creating the arc, and and turning off on the plus sign. Like, I love how creative they get. In Moon Knight, remember, it was the Moon Knight jumping across the rooftops with his cape.
You're right, yeah.
So, like, they are really just, like, having a good time with these, and I feel like that's it's very minor, doesn't affect the story, doesn't affect the quality of everything, but someone who's making those is, like, really just putting some fun into it, and I didn't think it would be that versatile at the end of this, 3 years into the show. And then I know you're a big fan of Kumail. Did you see the Kumail shot in this one?
Yeah, I actually had to go back and rewatch it and scrub back to where that was, because was that Kumail Nanjiani? And then also later on Twitter I saw that he was revealing it. So I didn't realize that was like a secret. Like, it wasn't revealed until he kind of popped his face in. So I'm happy to see that he's an addition.
Well, he was announced in the cast list originally, but we've not seen him. Oh. And if you freeze on it, I believe he's actually wearing Jedi robes as well. So we get to go from Kumail ditching on the third act of the Eternals and filming all of his scenes as a Jedi for Obi-Wan instead. So I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this. I know it's at the end of the month, the 27th. So a little under 3 weeks away. 2 episodes out the gate, so it's got a lot to live up to. But like we said, good faith Star Wars, right? I feel like we're in the things. The other revealing thing is Ian McDiarmid said he will return as Emperor Palpatine in this. Now I don't know if he'll be an actor or like a voice, like one of those hologram projectors along the way.
Yeah, who fucking knows? He could be a clone, right? Yeah, because apparently they're growing him in pods.
Yeah. And also would they use archive footage, right? Like from the other stuff. I think they could use them, but if he's back, hopefully they're here to redeem Hayden Christensen and Ian McDiarmid from all the bad stuff they were in for their movies. So, knock on wood. Avatar 2: The Way of Water. This is coming out, Mike, at the end of the year, and I was going to watch this with Doctor Strange, but they didn't give me the right 3D glasses, so I had to watch this in the 3D blurry mode, along the way. But it's like a 2-minute kind of teaser, I feel. Very atmospheric, not a lot of story revealed.
Yeah, I always forget about the whole like mecha equipment of the humans in the original movie, even though I don't know why I would, probably because I haven't seen the movie in like a decade. So it was kind of nice seeing that again. It looks like the humans are maybe building up a new assault, you know, getting ready to come back because they want that unobtainium.
Well,
nothing's going to stop them.
Nope, they had the what are the blue people called?
Na'vi? Is that what they're called?
Na'vi, yeah, the Na'vi were with them. I think maybe there's an alliance here before something goes bad again.
Oh, yeah. I almost thought maybe it was either like Na'vi, like traders or something. I don't know. Who knows?
But we don't know a lot about it. Like, it doesn't give anything away.
Yeah, like the weird thing is I was actually kind of excited to watch the trailer, right? Because like, how often do you get to see a trailer premiere in front of a movie? You know, usually it drops on YouTube like 3 days earlier.
Not even on YouTube yet.
Yeah, so it was fun to see it with an audience. But the weird thing is the trailer ends on like a very like not like a exciting note. It's kind of like a somber, peaceful, like just zen moment. So my audience didn't really react to it. It was just kind of like silence after the trailer ended. So I was just like, oh, well, if there's any Avatar fans in here, it'd be really awkward if they started clapping or anything. But yeah, weirdly enough, I'm kind of excited to watch more Avatar.
Well, I was watching it for, you know, technology has come a long way in 13 years, as we said. So I'm like, what have they improved? Is it the visual fidelity, the effects, the tracking? What am I looking for here?
I thought visually it did. I mean, I'm running off of like a decade memory of the last time I saw the movie, but it looked really good. Like I felt like the subtle skin textures that I was seeing on some of the close-ups like looked really fantastic. So is that just a marginal improvement, a huge improvement? It's not like I'm counting pixels or polygons or anything like that.
Now I know the reason I brought this up is I know how you feel about Aquaman, the underwater stuff, right? Very not thrilling. Now I feel like a lot of this is not underwater anymore.
It was very shallow, right? It was like they were in the shallows, like swimming and snorkeling and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is fine. I can still see the surface. So if we're seeing like an Atlantis, I don't know if we're going to be seeing like an underwater Atlantis at all.
I think the only thing my concern about, if they're just floating on the top of the water, all you see is sky and water. It's not very visually appealing either. Like they're floating on top of the water. You see the sky, you see the ocean on the horizon, and
they're blue.
Like, they're blue on possibly blue whales, right? I think though the Jake character, I think it was Jake, at least looked like it, was on like a water flying creature, right? Like his wings popped up and he hovered. That was pretty cool from what I could tell. But
if I had to make a guess, posture a theorem. At some point in time, maybe it's like the post-credit scene if that exists in James Cameron's universe, but maybe at the end of this movie there's a reveal of like there's other like Na'vi that are different color. That'd be kind of cool, like a red Na'vi, a purple Na'vi. Like why the hell not? They're aliens. So
all I gotta do is change the hue slider on the effects output.
Yeah, what is it, like a DaVinci Resolve? Just go in there, bump up a little bit. So I don't know, just a random theory.
Yeah,
sell more toys that way.
Yeah, I think I would love the same thing is to see different tribes of the Na'vi and how they interact with each other, right? Like different abilities, because it's a big world. They're trying to get unobtainium, Mike. This is a very creative movie choice, so I think we should lean into it. But I really just I didn't get to see it, and like the only reason I'm more disappointed now is because it's still not online and I still can't watch it. So, to hell with me, right? So anyway. No big deal. Moving on, that Wonder Twins movie we talked about last week, canned. It's done already. Movie is rumored to be scrapped after the merger between Discovery and Warner. So,
sorry, KJ Appa. We thought you were gonna escape Riverdale, but it sounds like you're not.
He is taking the form of mist and just evaporating into nothingness, because that's what they're doing with this, and that's fine. I don't think anyone was clamoring for a Wonder Twins movie, right? Like, I feel like some producer was like, let's greenlight this even if it's temporarily, and maybe I can get some kickback on the news. But we'll see more about that later. Fast 10. I don't think we talked about this the other day, but it is lost the director Justin Lin a couple weeks ago. Like they were like a couple days into filming.
He's been with the franchise for a while, right?
This is going to be his fifth movie with them, I believe. And what has happened? He said it's amicable. He's still remaining on as a producer. But rumor is like Vin Diesel's just like steamrolling him, not being professional on set. I don't know what the truth is. We're not a TMZ. We're not a rumor site.
You can kind of imagine it though, right? The rumors that Vin's being difficult, because I mean he's even played it out on his own Instagram page, right? Begging The Rock to come back and join the family. The Rock doesn't even want to put up with him, and who knows? Maybe The Rock's a piece of garbage in the real world, but at the very moment, all evidence points to that. Dwayne's a good guy, right?
Right.
But Vin's opinion of him in the world is changing drastically.
There's a common denominator here, and while the franchise is Vin Diesel, you only get what you put into it, right? So, they have replaced him finally after several weeks of looking with the Incredible Hulk director Louis Leterrier taking the spot. So obviously, easily someone who's just going to roll over and do what Vin says.
That's just so funny because I didn't know they replaced him, and I was just about to think, who do you get to tap to do like this big blockbuster franchise that's already not like working, for like Warner Brothers or Marvel? And in my head, I was thinking, oh, they should just grab like a Marvel director that just kind of like washed out. And that's exactly what you said.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Louis Leterrier, he's I think he directed like not taken like the Transporter before he got to Marvel.
I'm sure he's a fine director, but yeah, that totally. Yeah. I feel like this really fits with the Fast franchise.
Exactly. So I feel like Fast 10 now. Not that they're good movies. They've kind of been on a steady decline since they rise again. The loss of Paul Walker really affected these movies, I feel. Mm-hmm. And 10 is here. I believe 11 will be the last one they've said. Until somebody needs more money.
I think this one's the last one.
Is it?
I'm almost very sure that this is the last one. I mean, I am no authority when it comes to the Fast and Furious movies.
Tyrese Gibson, notorious truthsayer, says that the Fast 10 and Fast 11 will film back to back and will end the entire saga.
Oh, okay. What do I know?
So yeah, it looks like just Fast 11 says it's the last one. So, who knows what a director shaking up will be? But it doesn't sound like the script's in trouble. It's just actors on set. So we'll see how this is. Not that we're precious on the Fast and Furious franchise, but it sounds like someone left fast and someone is furious. So. All right, we're gonna wrap this show up by the shorter because we've had the Doctor Strange review and all notes point to that. With the discussion of Moon Knight episode 6, which is actually the season finale. At the end of this, surprisingly, just ahead. this is not spoilers, but you do not have to watch Moon Knight to watch Doctor Strange. The endings are coincidentally timed, not purposely timed. So, if you feel like you have to binge Moon Knight before you go to Doctor Strange, do not worry about that. These are just coincidentally timed endings along the way. So, we're going to talk about this season 6 or episode 6 and the season all at once. If you've not seen it, go watch them. Come back before you listen to this. You don't want to get ruined. Don't get spoiled by everything involved in this the show and season. Go watch it and come back to this because we don't want to ruin it for you. So, Mike, we'll jump into this. I will go ahead and say that in the MCU at whole, this feels the exact opposite of Doctor Strange this week. Because
absolutely. You don't have no connection to anything.
You do not have to watch anything to get into this. And by the end, I don't even think it references the MCU at large once, except maybe like maybe the Black Panther stuff, like the whatever that.
It so obviously avoids the MCU at large. I almost think it's strategic, but not in a way to imagine, oh, let's see if we can start to make MCU content that doesn't ladder in the universe. It almost just seems like, let's not reference anything just in case this doesn't work. Weirdly enough, that's where my brain goes. But at the end of last week, I said I was very split on the show up until episode 6. I loved it and hated it almost equally. And this was going to be the straw that either breaks the camel's back or puts the camel to sleep. I don't know what this analogy is anymore. But anyway,
you've lost me with camels, but you're in the desert at least, so I'll give you that.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this didn't go well for me. Overall, now that I look at the series, I just didn't have a very good time. All of the mythos I felt was built kind of haphazardly. At the end, I really didn't understand why they needed to do what they needed to do. especially when it came to like resealing some of these like villains. I was like, why do we have these arbitrary rules in place? I didn't really care so much for the reveal of the new avatar that's added to this, even though the costume was kind of cool overall. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think this one's for me. I wouldn't put it at the bottom of the Disney Plus shows. I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier is still down there, but Moon Knight is a kind of a failure to start for me, even though I enjoyed Oscar Isaac overall. You know, if he wants to return as Moon Knight, maybe possibly in another TV show or another movie, I'll welcome him, but it didn't all coalesce to something that I enjoyed, unfortunately. But I'm interested in what you thought, Chris.
I want a season 2 like tomorrow. I feel like I'm completely the other way, but like, because once I've watched this and I've sat and I've thought about it over and over again, what is great about this is we didn't get an origin story for a character, right? We've talked about this till we're blue in the face. We hate origin stories for characters because they take too long to get somewhere. What we're getting is actually a Moon Knight at the end of his tenure rather than the beginning or even in the middle, because he's tired of being Moon Knight. Mark Spector is, you know, he doesn't want to be Khonshu's bitch anymore, if you will, at the end of this. And what we're getting is, the other part of this is that this show does something that I didn't expect it to do. And while I don't love it as much as, I wish I could, it proves to me that, every inning doesn't have to be something you punch your way out of. Because literally they almost, it feels like they cheat you a little bit there, where they cut the whole fight scene out, right? Where he blacks out, and the next thing you know, he's got
Ethan
Harrow in his arms with like an axe in his head. And I can get how people would be really upset by stealing that, but at the same time, like you said, the mythology, I get they don't explain a lot of it, but that's fine with me. I don't understand we have to go into like a whole different realm to talk about all the Egyptian mythology. Come on, I don't really do that with Thor a lot. They kind of water that down, but to me, like, he didn't have to punch his way out of it. This is more of a mental thing. This is Mark Spector's mental, coming to terms with his childhood, losing his brother, his mother, not being there, beating him, and then they show last episode that her death is what kicked off the return of Mark. So when they come to terms with each other, and they can turn literally back and forth into each other at any given time. So I have to give mad props to Oscar Isaac for being able to do that on the spot. Because I don't think I would... He's just so believable for this role in both Mark and Steven, and even later on Jake, for like, the 5 seconds we see him. But he looks different enough in that scene. Like, I think he pulls it off. For me, that I think his acting, his journey as a character and the emotional arc that he's able to pull off on screen is way outweighs to me, the negative parts of this, like where I'm like, I wish I would have seen that fight, but it's not about punching his way out. It's about him coming to terms with who he is and what he is.
Yeah, and to me, I feel like some punching would have been fun, right? We're looking at like a comic book TV show, and I feel like the only cool thing, like the only singular cool thing I can point out that happens in the final fight scene is he shoots a grappling hook, which we hadn't really seen much of before, and he flies out of a room and he like punches or kicks our guy or something like that. But beyond that, like, I don't care. Like, all of the action was really like kind of banal to me, unfortunately. Well, even when the big kaiju are fighting, I'm looking at these giant kaiju and going like, they're not really destroying much. So I feel like there's not a whole lot at stake for the city that they're next to. They can't really kill each other because they're kind of setting these rules that the only way to like subdue these people is by like putting them back into their statues. So I'm just like, yeah, I get it. There's kaiju in the background fighting, but I felt like there's literally nothing at stake with a giant alligator fighting a giant skeleton bird.
And I think, to me, again, it's not about the stakes, because they said the world's on fire, but like they never really showed the world on fire, right? They really kind of isolated to Egypt, and I totally get what you're saying, 100%. Not arguing with you, but I feel, to me, the message of the story is about Mark's mental state, coming to terms with it. And I'm gonna, like, I think the thing I disagree with you the most is the reveal that Khonshu was never after Mark or Steven. He was after Jake, and that he still technically has kept his promise to release them, but he's still with this third personality who is the most dangerous.
So that bugged me in two ways. First of all, the reveal at Jake at the end, to me, just felt like a cartoon. Like, he's in like a silly hat. He's got like really dark shadows under his eyes. He's speaking in a different language, which I'm not saying like he can't speak another language. That's actually kind of clever for somebody with a different identity to speak something totally different. But like, he looked silly, and I felt like the ending was supposed to be like impactful and serious, and he just looked like a Warner Brothers cartoon doing something wacky from the front seat. And then they're battling their own kind of like mythos in the underworld, where like they're weighing his hearts on a scale, right? And they kept saying, "Oh, they haven't quite balanced yet. They haven't quite balanced it. You need to get back there and do some more work." And I thought, oh, the reason these hearts aren't balancing is because there's a third personality, right? We saw that like ominous kind of coffin in a room that they skipped over. He's blacked out in a previous episode, and we didn't get to see who that was. I thought that was going to be what eventually ended up balancing the scale, but so it seems like Jake is allowed to exist and be chaotic, but they can still end up balancing their hearts in the afterworld. I would just assume something as big and mythic as dying and your soul being on display. I just assumed like that the gods at work, right, can just see like, no, there's a third person in there wreaking havoc. You might not know about it, but we do. So I was just like, I feel like that should have pierced through all of the stuff. Like, I totally get why Mark and Steven wouldn't know that they're there, but the afterlife should know that this murderer is inside of them and they need to find it. So that was one thing that was bugging me.
Well, it could be because the two balance out the others, because they both kind of aligned for once. So they were like good.
Yeah,
I would say lawful good, but like when I guess it only really balanced when they came together, right? A little bit, or when the other one died. So it would be like Mark's trying to do good and do right, and the other one's just purely evil. I mean, the thing for me is, what I don't understand is, what is the real world and what is the mental world? Because there's this mental asylum, right? That they bounce back and forth to kind of freely. I'm like, is this Mark's mind? If it's not Mark's mind, why is there a mental hospital with Harrow in it? Is that Harrow's mind? Where's the lines between reality and mentality kind of coming into play is my biggest concern.
Yeah, it's like, and I get the metaphor that this afterlife or purgatory is for them to better themselves, but then it seemed weird to jump back to it, right, where we get to see Ethan Hawke's like bloody footprint. It just seems like, well, he's now in their mental place. Like, I feel like they've already moved past, like, we don't need to go back.
I don't even know if that's like the afterlife. It just seems like that maybe that's in their head whenever they switch places. Maybe that's what they see now.
Yeah, it wasn't super, but
it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, but and the thing is, they do this thing twice in the finale where they cut away from the action. So I could see maybe for dramatic effect, right, cutting away from them finally beating Ethan Hawke's character because there's a more sinister personality at play, right? And even when they go like, oh my God, what happened? That wasn't me. They don't really follow up on it, right? It's not like, it doesn't seem like he is super conflicted at the very end of, oh no, there's a third person in front of me. They just seem to just kind of like write it off and go like, oh, well, that was weird. Somehow we beat Ethan Hawke. So I could let that slide, but they kind of do it again a little bit differently with the filmmaking earlier, where they show up in that kind of tribunal judgment zone, right? And all of the avatars are there, right? And they're like, what? He's trying to unleash the alligator? Sorry, I don't remember any of these names.
Amit.
But
Amit
they're like,
was
what?
the name.
They're trying to release Amit? It's like, yeah, there's a whole episode where he went and told you, you guys are all too stupid. And we thought it was going to be something different, right? We thought like, maybe like, they're taking payments underneath the table and they're all crooked. No, they were just stupid and not for entertaining effect. They were just dumb. And then I thought, okay, you got like 6 of these avatars or whatever. Ethan Hawke shows up with his cane axe or whatever. Oh, we're about to see a battle. Things are about to go down. They're all about to transform. They're all about to get badass suits. There's going to be a throwdown. No, the camera wipes by a pole, a post, and then it comes out the other side, and they're all dead on the ground. I was like, come on. This could have been so cool. Like, you can't do this to me twice in an episode. You're cutting away from the fights.
It could have been cool. I don't like that reasoning because it's just like, this is what my mind set up and it didn't deliver what my mind sets up. But like, what I like about this in scene is none of these techniques were anything new to us. They've used everything in every episode before to deliver this, which I think was the best part of this. What the Scarlet Scarab you mentioned, sure, I don't quite understand her wings when she's the hippo's avatar.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
But it is fun to see. Again, we didn't. I agree with you. We didn't get to see anyone else in an Avatar outfit. Harrow didn't even get one, right? He's just an old Ethan Hawke with a cane still. But I was glad to see the outfits because, like, oh, she can do this. So, but like, what is her purpose post episodes? They've not really announced the season 2 yet. I'd be interested to see what it does, and can this connect to the bigger MCU, right? Like the Blade stuff, because
it seems like it would get a season 2. I saw online just before we started recording today that some data had come out that the Moon Knight had just surpassed the premiere of Peacemaker earlier in the year, where Peacemaker was kind of like the top streaming show, and now that Moon Knight has wrapped up, they have kind of took the king of the hill of Peacemaker. So I mean, if HBO Max is giving Peacemaker season 2, I can't imagine Moon Knight not getting a season 2 after that.
I think again a lot of this ties back to Oscar Isaac taking that Apocalypse role, right? In X-Men, and like being just, I don't think it's his fault. That movie's just atrocious all around. Like, you know, not him, like him being the producer and kind of control, like, you know, I want to tell a story where I believe in it and not where I'm not just doing a movie because, you know, we signed a contract. So hopefully we get an announcement soon. But what I would like to see in a season 2 is, like you said, the bigger connections, right? Like, there's no connections here. Let's see how this ties into the I would even say they actually, I don't know if you saw this, they cut a scene with an older Avatar of Khonshu's fighting alongside the Eternals. Like, to even keep it, like, I don't think anyone who would have loved to see the Eternals, but I think that would have been cool for both of them to show, hey, the Eternals actually affect the MCU at large, because we've not seen that yet, and B, you know, that, you know, Khonshu's been around a little bit. But what I would like to see them do something more with this on the larger whole, rather than just, hey, we're in London and Egypt. Like, it really felt like we were in 2 locations, right, the whole time. So what is the evolution of this show to, you know, for your sake, be better, and for my sake, you know, give us that fulfillment that we both want at the end of this. Like, what would it take for you to come back on board?
Gosh, I feel like I feel
more,
like a
more
lot
action,
of, like more action for sure, and I want to just see a more coherent explanation of what it is to be a god and an avatar, because they seem to either be totally useless or be able to do whatever they want. These gods can grow to the size of skyscrapers, but it doesn't really seem to be that big of a deal overall, because you can just put them into a little statue, and if they're so dangerous, why do you just put them precariously on a bookshelf when anybody can just get in there and break them open on the ground? I don't know. And like, what do these gods, like, greater, you know, what do they ladder up to more overall? So I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to be a stickler, but it's one of those things that, like, that I say all the time. If I'm having a better time, I can ignore some of these things and just, like, kind of like sit back and have fun. But like, yeah, like, the best part about this series was the emotional realization that Steven was created to avoid child abuse, and that was very, very powerful, and I really liked that moment. Like, what a very, very brutal way to have an origin story for your character. And then I feel like it's just kind of all anticlimactic after that when you go into the finale. You know, some might parallel a little bit like with WandaVision, right? She has that very, like, emotional connection with like grief is love persevering moment, and then her finale is just kind of like, you know, more of just like kind of like blast, you know, comic book finale.
I think it goes well. It's a very precarious thing to watch, because like some people said they would have liked another hour, would 7 episodes have given them enough time and budget to do this last episode, right? Like, do we have to stick to the format of 6 episodes, or 9/10 if we're doing half-hour shows? Like, is that relevant, or should they be less rigid in their Disney Plus shows and more like what serves the story better than just doing 6 episodes? Here's starting point, here's end point, fit everything in between along the way. Mm-hmm. I would love to see 7 episodes probably would have solved a lot of people's problems for this one. Would have less episodes for Falcon and Winter Soldier been better, because a lot of it felt like filler right along the way. So I think my thing would be like less rigidity and more fluidity for these shows going forward if they need them. Like listen to the moment, right, kind of thing. So I'm sure they figure this out. Like, this, you probably know this more. They probably figure this out in the writing room along the way. They're like, hey, we got to write these episodes. I don't feel like this one had budget constraints. Like, I don't feel like Marvel shows have budget constraints, but would you say this one, a lot like Doctor Strange, hire one actor to do multiple roles of the thing to save money on actors? But
yeah, maybe it's time constraints more than anything. Honestly, more and more Disney Plus is starting to feel like number of shows divided by 52, right? We're just trying to make sure that subscribers at least have something premium to watch once a week, but now we have to start making content for our different types of subscribers. Kids aren't necessarily little kids aren't gonna be like devouring Moon Knight for 6 weeks, right? So the Young Avengers, that's a good strategy, right, to get kind of younger kids into watching some of the Marvel content.
Do you think that this show also was possibly affected by lockdown/COVID? Simply because this would have been filming in the middle of that.
I mean, that's a good question. It's so hard to tell, right? Because I feel like I have seen movies and TV shows currently that were produced like during COVID, and they've been great, and I haven't really noticed much of a hiccup, and some feels a little different. So frankly, maybe that's right. Maybe it's just the roll of the dice, and the pandemic really fucked over Moon Knight with its production and the problems I have with it. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that, because it'll make me feel a little bit better about a possible season 2. And isn't the lead writer of Moon Knight moving on to something else after this? Weren't they tapped for something else? I swear we talked about that in a news episode at some point in time. I don't remember. So
because it's like one Jeremy Slater.
Yeah, and also I feel like I am in the minority here. If you go on IMDb, which I was doing, after the Moon Knight series wrapped up, critically good response for the most part. Episode 5 had 9.0 on IMDb. The last episode had an 8. So people are responding to it well. I guess I'm just the odd one out on this one.
Yeah. That's fine. I mean, again, you had a good week with Doctor Strange to come and swing the other way for you, right?
Yes, but like I said last week, I've not heard anybody talk about this show. And I know Doctor Strange sucked all the oxygen kind of out of the room, right? But I haven't heard a single person talk about Moon Knight. So
it's funny you mentioned it, because the 3 people I've talked to, they want to binge it. Like, people are like, I'm not going to watch it till it's all out. I'm like, people are still doing this? That may have been great years ago, but I don't understand that. And yes, Jeremy Slater's writing the next Mortal Kombat movie, so maybe he'll get better at his action scenes by then.
Oh, maybe.
Because he'll need them for that, for sure. So, cool. All right, man. Anything else you want to add? Want to wrap it up? Get out of here?
I think that's it. We are done, sucker.
Awesome. So, if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, people want to find you. Where are you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87, or come back every week to this show, because I will be here recording this. I think I've only missed one show, right? I believe I was flying somewhere. Was it on my wedding, possibly?
Yeah, I think I remember leading an episode, and it was very strange.
Yeah, and you were like, how do I edit this? I'm like, just send it over. I'll do it. But anyway, people know more about the show. Listen to our Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness review. If they have watched the movie, don't listen to it first. Well, I guess the first half spoiler free, but don't be a sucker. Don't go too far. Where can they find all of our good shows at?
Well, if me and Chris are Steven and Mark Spector, I guess you can find Jake over at superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find the links to our RSS feed and our awesome show notes. If you want to see that picture of Jane Foster as Thor, we got that in our show notes this week. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. What did you think of Moon Knight? Are you more of a Chris or are you more of a Mike? Are you kind of in between on the Moon Knight? Let us know. We also love our super fans, so if you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. We'll be here every week.
That's right, folks. We will see you next week.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.